Welcome to Brainwaves Live. I've decided that with my genius, which I don't have, to basically film myself doing my articles and doing everything that I talk about, because I had the feeling that people didn't like the 20 stories that I posted every single day, because it's probably a bit annoying. So, and I already started changing them into reels slightly, which kind of makes more sense. So instead of watching 30 reels in one go, you watch 30, instead of watching 30 stories in one go, you watch about 30 minutes worth of reel. And you can choose to do that. And I know that some people actually do choose to do that, so I wish I could see who, so I could thank you for that. But it's not the most high quality entertaining thing, so at least I'm trying now. So what I'm going to, because this is the first kind of episode at all, and because I have no idea what I'm doing, because I haven't actually planned this at all, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the top news stories of this week, which I am writing articles about at this current moment, or have, and they're sent off to different places and will probably be published within the next week. And they're all very topical, and if you've been watching my stories, you know what I'm about to go into, because I've been complaining about it all week. And it will be quite interesting. So, without further ado, let's get into the first one. Or actually, let's list the different topics. Let's do that first. So, what we're going to talk about today is, I've got four, which is very interesting. We've got four. We've got four topics today. We've got Facebook deciding that it wants to do an AI dating algorithm, because of course it does. Who cares about privacy in this dystopian day and age at this point in time? We've got the Australian government deciding to nuke GitHub because it deems it as part of the social media ban. Technically, they're just sending off letters, but it's very interesting that they're sending off letters to the companies that they said they wouldn't send off letters to begin with. And then we've got friend companions, which are now AI, because the thing that this world needs more of is AI acting as an actual friend. That's not a recipe for disaster whatsoever. And then, as they do, big tech has decided to deliver us the magnum opus of what they're calling, what I'm going to call AI slot machines. Not slop, slop machines. Got to get that P out there. Which is kind of just atrocious, and the worst thing since sliced bread. So, let's start by going into why the government has deemed it necessary to nuke GitHub. So, as you've probably been aware, the E-Safety Commissioner has started to actually contact companies based on their under 16 age ban. That's happening in December 10th. You know my opinion on this one already, so I won't go too much into it, but it is a very bad idea. It's going to destroy the economy, it's going to destroy the tech space, it's going to destroy many, many different businesses and make it much, much, much harder to actually do anything here. And I know for a fact that I'm the one that's going to get the brunt of it, because I'm going to have a bunch of businesses coming to me to actually ask me to help them out, which I'm happy to do. My number's down below. But this is a very bad idea, and I don't really get why the government's actually going forward with it. Now, I've written about 10 articles, like a whole article series on how this is a bad idea and everything that could go wrong and everything that is going wrong already. And I've talked to lawyers about it, and they've even said, we hope that, and I quote, the lawyers themselves, when I talk to them, have said, gosh, I really hope there's a grace limit to this. That was about 2 months ago. There's no grace limit. They're just going full force. And it's gotten to the point now where they're actually deciding to contact businesses that might, okay? And I kind of didn't say this in the article because it flew in a different way, but they're contacting a heap of big tech businesses that, quote unquote, might be part of the ban. They don't actually know what is part of the ban. They made the law so broad that it could be anything. It literally could be anything. That's one of the big problems of it. But they've gone out and physically contacted, using taxpayers' dollars, of course, all these multinational companies to say, hey, this is the thing that's happened December 10th. Are you on board? What are you doing? I don't even think they released what's even on the letters themselves, but they've done some real good companies here. I've got the list. So obviously, social media apps, you know, what the whole ban is, what the Labor Party's touting this as, that makes sense. So you got your stuff like Meta, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, which has been on and off from this ban since day one. They once said that they weren't going to include YouTube, and now they're including YouTube. It's going to make it really interesting, because I remember in high school when we were using YouTube videos to actually teach stuff, and the amount of educational content on YouTube. I get the bad stuff that also exists, because there's also stuff like ElsaGate and like horrible things. But that's more on the platform that should be doing this thing to actually mitigate that, not actually on the content itself that is available. Like, I never agree with the 1% or 5% of YouTube that is toxic and horrible. That shouldn't affect the 95% that is actually really good content, in my opinion at least. But my algorithm's literally just educational articles all the time, so I'm very biased in what I see, so I know that other people have different algorithms. That is part of the problem here, but probably why the ban has encompassed YouTube again. And then you've got X or Twitter, Pinterest, Reddit, and Twitch. So all of these, they make sense. Social media ban-wise, perfect sense. I'm not going to argue against that. That's if they were going to make a social media ban for whatever reason, that makes sense as the things that you would ban. But they're not doing that. That's part of the issue here. So what they're doing instead is, because the law and legislation is so broad that it could catch anything, they've started going out and doing dating apps now, which, okay, yes, I guess that's social, but also they've already got age limits, so why are we wasting time on that? Who knows? Like, I'm pretty sure a 13-year-old cannot use Tinder. That's pretty obvious at this point. But then they've gone down one step further and actually gone against what they've already talked about. So when I wrote my articles originally, they were talking about how online gaming and messaging apps, they're not a part of this at all. Go figure. That makes sense, because they're so hard to actually manage and control. So they just gave up and was like, oh, we won't actually include them. Until last week, because now they're included. Because you've got real bangers, because they've started contacting a bunch of companies. So Roblox no longer might be part of this age ban, because why would they send a letter out to a company unless they were really thinking about putting them on the ban itself? And then we've got Lego Play, because that seems like the most dangerous thing ever. And also all of the entire Steam library. So, you know, all the child games that you can have on Steam, you can't play anymore. And there's even, I'm pretty sure, I haven't used Steam in ages, so don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure Steam has age limits, and you have to be, and it matches it with your actual profiles to be able to download the thing, and you have to, doesn't matter apparently, because that's now also potentially part of the ban. I say potentially because they've just contacted these companies. But the very fact that they're wasting taxpayer dollars to contact these companies and these multinationals that could just pull the plug on Australia completely is pretty dumb. And then it gets better though, because, okay, online gaming, sure, they can be toxic cesspits. Who's arguing that? I'm not. I've been on COD lobbies before. Definitely the most toxic places imaginable, but you kind of learn to get a thick skin when you're playing on them. But now they're going into the messaging apps as well. We've got Discord, which I'm pretty sure they already said they weren't going to actually focus on messaging apps at all. So like WhatsApp, Messenger, because it's just too difficult to, you know, ban messaging apps when they can be used for other things. But now they're banning Discord, or potentially because they're contacting the company that runs Discord, which goes against what they said before. But it gets better, because of course it gets better, because those would make kind of sense. But now they're actually targeting GitHub as well. And that's when I draw the line completely between, okay, are they just really stupid? Or are they just trying to do a land grab of control because they can? Because why? Why are they contacting GitHub? Do they not realize that half of Australia is run on that, like all the code bases for everything is either using GitHub, or it's using GitLab, or it's using the Atlassian version. If they do a land grab for GitHub, because it's connected to Microsoft and big tech and they probably don't even know what it does, they're definitely going to go for Atlassian and GitLab next. Thankfully, GitLab is self-hosted half the time, so everybody will probably jump over there. But why are they contacting them in the first place unless they're that thick? Or to follow up, if they are going to ban GitHub, why? What's the end goal here? Like, did they see a bit of the toxic messages in open source communities because that's just what the IT crowd does? I don't know. And it doesn't make any sense. And it's actually kind of scary because if they go down the path of banning, because this means that every single dev, like this is the thing too, it's not even just a ban, it's how do they implement that? And how do they implement that is by making it more difficult for normal people or people above age to actually sign up for these platforms. If they make it difficult to sign up to GitHub, everyone's just going to migrate away from GitHub, which means GitHub won't even bother at this point. Like they don't, all their stuff is free, mostly. And if companies just lose huge amounts of their user base, because the IT crowd is already privacy centric. Like, you've got very different niches and demographics in it, but a lot of them don't like big tech to begin with. I haven't met a single IT person that does. We use cloud platforms and we do all this stuff, but we also know how bad cloud platforms are and how bad privacy is. That's the point. That's why a lot of the IT people use Linux when they're coding. It depends how extreme you go. I'm about to go into that territory at this point. But if they make it 10 times more difficult to use GitHub as a platform, that just kills off GitHub as a platform, really. Because no kids are going to be signing up for it anyway unless they're doing a uni assignment or a... Oh my gosh, actually, how on earth are you going to teach kids how to code in STEM if you don't even let them use the platform? I just realized that well here. It doesn't make any sense. I didn't even write about that because we've got coding classes in as part of STEM, I'm pretty sure now. I haven't been to school in ages, so don't quote me on that one. But I remember talking to a bunch of people that actually teach coding. I probably should talk to them about what sort of platforms they use, but it would not surprise me if they're using GitHub as part of that. Now, the problem is, because they're removing GitHub, how do you actually teach kids to code? Which is a big fundamental career skill at this point, because it's easy to do, kinda. It's easy to do, hard to understand. If you teach kids how to understand that, that's really good for the future generations. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, we'll see what happens on December 10th, because I've got no idea, and it's scary. Next thing's next. Facebook's decided to have an AI matchmaker on their dating thing. Obviously, Facebook dating doesn't exist in Australia yet, so we're kind of fine. We're like the third world country of tech apps at this point because we don't seem to get anything until America does. And that's, you know what, I'm kind of happy with that trajectory of Australia because at least we get to see it go wrong in another country before it even comes here. But what they're deciding to do is, instead of swiping, because fun fact, Gen Z are fully just dying out with dating fatigue and much rather just meet people in real life because there is probably a recession coming along very soon. Users of dating apps have actually increased, but no one's actually paying for it because everybody's so sad that they want connection, go figure. And which means that the cost of running a dating app is increasing, but they're not making any revenue to actually cover that cost, so all the stock value is going down and everything. Very complicated economic stuff that I can't be bothered getting into here. But Facebook's decided, hey, how do we fix this issue that we currently have? Oh, I know, we'll make it so that you don't even have to swipe, we'll just do the swiping for you and have an AI algorithm to connect you up with people that are like-minded based on the information that you put in. Which on paper, sure, that sounds kind of interesting. That sounds kind of good. I can see how that could help a lot of introverted people meet people who are also very introverted who they would not go and meet in real life. Sure. But also, this is Facebook. This is the data conglomerate that sells your data. That's not even a conspiracy at this point because they've been to court multiple times for antitrust lawsuits and they've been in the Senate because of it. It's just, and they use your data for advertising and that's how they make sure that everybody paying them via advertising gets a good share. You know for a fact that any information you put on Facebook, especially for this dating stuff, is going to be used for advertising. It's part of the terms and service. Why are we trusting a megacorp with our data to make us, help us find people to date in this day and age? Does not make sense. I realize that people will do this, and bless you, because I know how difficult it is, but also it's a bad idea. Don't do it. Seriously. But that's the thing that's happening. And Whitney Wolf, or whatever her name is, Whitney Wolf Herd, has already been talking about it. I'm pretty sure she said it in an article, like interview in 2024, and Mark Zuckerberg just saw that. I was like, well, I can do it fast, and decided to jump on that bandwagon. And because one person's done it, you bet that in the next couple of months, every single dating platform is going to start implementing some sort of AI concierge feature. Because who needs human emotion and connection when it can do it for you? I can't wait until I have something in my ear telling me how to flirt, because wouldn't that be great? Now for the fun bit, clip-on companionship. Did you know that there is now an increase of AI friends just hitting the marketplace as little tools that you just stick on yourself and listens to every single thing that you do day to day and comments on it like a friend. And they're actually advertised as friends. Now, this sounds like an incredibly bad idea. And I do not know how we've just suddenly looked at every Black Mirror episode that's came out in recent years and thought, hey, we could actually make this as a profitable business. Because that is a bad idea in every way, shape, and form. And it's such a bad idea that poor dude that actually built the company, so there's about 4 companies here. I'm just going to focus on the fun one, which got fully castrated in a New York subway. Old mate's name, what is it? It's A.V. Scheifman. He's 21 years old. And bless him, because I'm pretty sure he thinks he's doing a good thing and he's just young and stupid. But he created when COVID was a thing, so if he's 21 now, he would have been like 17, 16 or something when COVID happened. Actually, he'd be younger, he would be 15, wow. God, he was doing more than I did. He created a COVID tracker app, which I'm pretty sure got news coverage at the time, and bless him. So it was like trying to be all humanitarian and helping people. Then he created a Ukraine refugee app, which is also pretty cool. That an app to help Ukraine refugees find housing. Very humanitarian. The app now doesn't work, so apparently we don't care about Ukrainians anymore. But it probably was vibe coded, but he tried. There was an attempt. It was good. He got some good coverage from it and some nice things. Apparently that's enough to get you funded multi-millions by VC startup, VC investment firms in America, because he's somehow got 3 mil, or I think it was more. I don't know, don't quote me on that, but it was a lot of money to develop this new AI wearable gadget called Friend. And he spent like 2 mil just on the domain name, because of course he did, for the domain name of friend.com, created. Obviously, the budget of that didn't go into building a website that's quite good, because the website's the most atrocious thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and I can judge that because I make websites for a living. And then decides to spend $1 million on an entire New York subway campaign, like putting advertisings everywhere. Now, the fun thing about the New York subway campaign is everybody graffitied over it, and it's had so much backlash in the media because of it. Not only did he spend $1 million on this for a product that you can only buy in America, but everybody hated it. And everybody graffitied over it because, it seems that the general consensus at this point in time is, hey, maybe having friends via an AI is a really bad idea and probably not good for your mental health, which I do agree with. So we'll see where that goes, but he's got funding and he's got VC investment, so he's going to keep going with it, and it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years, because this is just the start. This is like when iPhones became a thing, or phones became a thing, where there was a lot of people saying, hey, I hate phones, I'm not going to use it, I'm going to stick with fax, or whatever. I don't know, I wasn't born then. I know there was also some some clashing when the internet became a thing. It always will be. This is just the start of the future, and this is what's going to happen in the next 10 years. And in the next 10 years, AI is just going to be everywhere, and we won't be able to get away from it. We're not even going to get into the fact that they're just listening all the time and writing notes about everything you do, and have a literally stack trace of every single waking moment in your life, which by second company named B, because we forgot what naming companies are, is now owned by Amazon. So there's a heap of companies that are doing this AI wearable tech. B, what a dumb name. It's like Bumble. Why do we just like to look at a honeybee and think, hey, why don't we create stripes? So B is another one, but they've been focused on businesses, which makes sense. I can see that as useful in my business, but also I use Google Meets, which then automatically just translates everything and transcribes everything from a meeting into a Word doc for me or Google Doc for me, and that works. But that's like, I'm not giving it access to anything else in my life, because why would I? So it kind of makes sense, but kind of doesn't. But of course, they got bought out by Amazon, which means Jeff Bezos is definitely going to be using all that data that's flowing through B as part of the terms of service, most likely, to then feed into the Amazon algorithm to then give you information to sell and further send you down that path. Very fun. It's almost like we're just opening up the doors, because we're slapping AI on everything, to all these big companies to track every single living thing in our life. And that is just going to get worse and worse as time goes on. Because what's privacy anymore other than nothing? We don't have it. We never had it. There never was a thing that we had. You use Facebook, you use Instagram, you don't have any privacy. You think they're not looking at all your messages or not making algorithms based on your usage patterns? There's a reason your reels are given to you in a certain order and in a way that makes sense, or the ads that you get are in a thing that you would actually probably buy. It's because you look at that, and the information of those things that you look at is shared between big tech companies so that it's more efficient. This is just going to add on top of that, so they can see that you really looked at a cat one day in a pet shop, and they're like, oh, this dude said he wanted that cat because we've got a transcription of him saying that under his breath. We're going to give him cat ads, because that's going to be able to be an easy sell. That's just the future that we're living in, and it's just going to get worse. So there's no solution apart from just be more privacy conscious and orientated. And there's always a couple more that I won't go into them, because that's in the article if you really want to look into it. And finally, we've got AI slot machines. I realize with my pronunciation, it probably sounded like slot machines, but it's Slop, S-L-O-P. Because we've decided as a species that, no, doom scrolling wasn't enough. Instagram wasn't enough. We don't just want to see, real people on Instagram all the time and looking at stories of what they're doing, or at least in my Instagram, it's just like video edits and photos because I'm boring. No, we don't want that. We don't just want funny reels. No, we want to have an entire app ecosystem dedicated to things that are just artificially generated, because that apparently makes sense and probably will sell. That is insane. I can't believe that we live in the day and age where they've made apps to just generate AI slop. Have we lost all creativity? Is there nothing like? What's the future hold for us if that's what is actually going to be served to us on a platter? And it's not even just the idea of AI slot machines that makes me kind of disgusted, because it's not creative, it's not anything, it's just AI, artificial generated content. And there is some funny stuff, trust me. Like, I've seen some funny ones, but at least I've got imagination put into them. These ones are literally just, you put in a prompt and call it a day. There's no creativity attributed to it. Not that I've seen. It all looks the same. I've downloaded, because who cares about my own privacy? I've downloaded like the Meta one. You can't get the Sora one, because two companies have decided in the same week to do this. Like, it's not new. It's going to be everywhere very, very quickly, and it's just boring. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. Will it take off? I've got no idea. We will see. But that isn't my fear. My fear is that we're slowly delving into the entire world of the dead internet. Now, the dead internet was like a theory. Now, this is the fun thing. We're going into science fiction here, which is just becoming science reality, because the dead internet was a theory about 5-10 years ago. I remember looking at it in high school. And then it's like, oh yeah, sure, that makes sense. Of course there's bots, but that won't actually be a thing that affects us. Like that's a conspiracy theory. There's no way that that's true. Well, now it is. The internet's been dying for a lot this year, and I think it started dying as soon as AI became a thing. And it's been on a slow downturn for the last couple of years, and now it's just reaching its peak of death. We won't have much of an internet left, because you can't trust anything anymore. You can't trust the stuff you see. You can't trust the comments you read. A lot of it's made for rage baiting to make you... The algorithm feeds off of your rage. Because when you rage, you interact more. And when you interact more, they can sell your data more. And when they sell your data more, they make more money. So it's always going to be whatever makes the most amount of people react to something, that's what they're going to push everywhere, because that's what pushes the algorithm forward, and that's what makes them earn the most amount of money from your data. Of course, the thing that does that is rage. So that's always going to be a thing. Doesn't even matter that we've got big governments across the world, which I won't mention, using AI propaganda machines to feed and destabilize different countries. That's not even a joke. There's reports from the Pentagon, and there's literal evidence from China doing that. What other countries are doing that at this point in time? Who knows? But you can't trust anything you actually see online. The AI-generated videos are becoming so good at being generated and so far from being able to be understood what's real and fake that you can't even look at the news anymore without just questioning. You can't look at anything. Obviously, there's some things that make it very obvious, but we're not living in the world where you see 6 fingers on a 5-finger man anymore, and that makes it obvious that it's AI. We're living in the world where it's literally the type of like blur in the background of a photo is what kind of gives it away. And people don't understand that, and the further and further we get, the more that we build on this, the scarier it becomes, because we could just literally go into anything and not know if it's real or fake. Like, would not surprise me if this is very conspiracy theory nut job at this point, because who knows? There's no way to know. But it would not surprise me if something happened overseas, because we live in our own little bubbles here, and we're only fed something that is completely AI generated, and we wouldn't know. And at this point, and I'm so tempted to write an article on just how to do it, but I don't want to, because I know how easy it is to do, and I don't want to actually make it a thing that people can do, but it doesn't take that much effort to find out how. So yeah, welcome to the future. This is a dystopia. Everything's going slightly downhill, and the solution is to just try and be more vigilant and look after your own privacy, because there isn't much that you can do at all. Wow, that's depressing. Let's think about, I need to find happier stories. They're hard to come by at this point in time, so we'll see what happens.